Moscow, the capital of Russia, is one of the largest metropolises in the world that attracts millions of tourists every year. This city combines centuries-old history and modernity, offering unique attractions and cultural heritage. Red Square. Red Square is perhaps the most recognizable place in Moscow and one of the most famous in the world. Historically, this place was the heart of Moscow, and the most important events of Russian history took place here. The square is home to several iconic sites such as the Kremlin, Lenin's Mausoleum, St. Basil's Cathedral and the State Historical Museum. The Kremlin is a fortress with several cathedrals, palaces and museums inside. The Assumption Cathedral, where the Russian Tsars were crowned, and the Armory, which houses the Tsar's regalia and jewelry, are particularly eye-catching. St. Basil's Cathedral is a masterpiece of Russian architecture, known for its brightly colored domes. It was built in 1555 to 1561 by order of Ivan the Terrible in honor of the victory over the Kazan Khanate. Moscow Kremlin. The Moscow Kremlin is a symbol of Russian state power and one of the most visited tourist sites. It is not just an ancient fortress, but also the official residence of the Russian president. In the Kremlin, tourists can visit many historical buildings such as the Grand Kremlin Palace, the Teremy Palace and the Ivan the Great Bell Tower. Inside the Kremlin, there are cathedrals that played a crucial role in the spiritual life of Russia: Uspensky Cathedral, the main temple of the Russian state; Archangel Cathedral, the tomb of Moscow princes and Tsars; Annunciation Cathedral, the home temple of Moscow princes and Tsars. Tretiakov Gallery. The Tretiakov Gallery is one of the largest museums in the world with the most complete collection of Russian fine art. The gallery was founded in 1856 by merchant Pavel Tretiakov, who began collecting works by Russian artists in an effort to create a national collection of art. Today, the Tretiakov Gallery has more than 180,000 works, ranging from old Russian icon painting to works by avant-garde artists of the early 20th century. Among the most famous exhibits are the icon Trinity by Andrei Rublev, the Appearance of Christ to the People by Alexander Ivanov and The Ninth Shaft by Ivan Ivazovsky. Bolshoi Theater. The Bolshoi Theater is one of the most famous theatrical institutions in the world, which invariably attracts the attention of both tourists and opera and ballet lovers. Founded in 1776, the theater has become the center of classical music and dance culture in Russia. The building of the theater, made in the style of classicism with Baroque elements, is an architectural monument. It has been repeatedly reconstructed, the last of which was completed in 2011. The ballet and opera productions of the Bolshoi Theater are world famous, including such masterpieces as Swan Lake, Pyotr Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker, Eugene Onegin and Boris Godunov. VDNKH. VDNKH, Exhibition of Achievements of National Economy, is a huge exhibition complex and park, which is one of the most popular places for walks and recreation in Moscow. VDNKH was opened in 1939 as an exhibition demonstrating the achievements of Soviet industry, science and agriculture. Today, on the territory of VDNKH you can see many pavilions dedicated to various branches of national economy, architectural monuments, fountains and green areas. Among the most notable objects are the Space Pavilion, where the history of Soviet cosmonautics is presented, and the Agriculture Pavilion, decorated with unique mosaics. Gorky Park. Gorky Park is one of the most favorite places of Muscovites and guests of the capital for walks and recreation. The park was opened in 1928 and quickly became popular for its green alleys, ponds, attractions and cultural events. Today, Gorky Park is a modern park where you can not only relax in nature, but also do sports, visit exhibitions and concerts, ride a bicycle or boat. In winter one of the largest skating rinks in Europe opens here, and in summer open-air movie screenings are held. Cathedral of Christ the Savior. the Cathedral of Christ the Savior is the largest Orthodox church in the world and one of the most iconic religious buildings in Russia. The cathedral was built in the 19th century in honor of Russia's victory over Napoleon, but in 1931 it was destroyed by order of the Soviet authorities. The restoration of the temple began in 1994 and was completed in 2000. The cathedral strikes with its size and architecture. Its height is 103 meters, and its capacity is up to 10,000 people. Inside the temple there are many paintings, mosaics and icons made by modern artists. The upper gallery of the cathedral offers a magnificent view of Moscow. Arbat. Arbat is one of the most famous streets in Moscow, often associated with creative intellectuals and bohemian atmosphere. Arbat became a pedestrian zone in 1986, and since then it has been a favorite strolling place for Muscovites and tourists alike. On Arbat you can see old houses of 18th to 19th centuries, many cafes, restaurants, souvenir stores and street performers. The street is also famous for its monuments and plaques dedicated to famous personalities such as Pushkin and Bulat Okadzava. It is also home to the Pushkin Apartment Museum, where the poet lived with his wife Natalia Goncharova. Novodevichy Convent. The Novodevichy Monastery is one of the oldest and most beautiful monasteries in Moscow, founded in 1524. The monastery played an important role in the history of Russia. It was a place of refuge for representatives of royal and noble families, as well as high-ranking persons who served their sentences in exile. The architectural complex of the monastery includes the Assumption Cathedral, Smolensk Cathedral and many other temples and buildings made in the Moscow Baroque style. Of special value are the frescoes and icons of the 17th century, preserved in the temples. The Novodevichy Convent and its necropolis are included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Kolomenskoye. Kolomenskoye is a historical and architectural reserve located in the south of Moscow, which was once a royal residence. The first mentions of Kolomenskoye date back to the 14th century, and since then it has repeatedly become the site of important historical events. The main attraction of Kolomenskoye is the Church of the Ascension of the Lord, built in 1532 in honor of the birth of Ivan the Terrible. It is one of the first stone tent structures in Russia, which amazes with its architectural solution and grandeur. In addition to the church, in Kolomenskoye you can see the wooden palace of Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich, numerous museums and exhibitions. Kolomenskoye is also famous for its picturesque landscapes, gardens and parks, where you can walk and enjoy nature away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Various cultural events, historical reconstructions and festivals are held on the territory of the reserve, attracting a large number of tourists. Moscow, with its rich history, cultural traditions and modern appearance, remains one of the most attractive tourist destinations in the world. Unique architectural monuments, world-class museums, picturesque parks, and a rich cultural life make this city a must-see. Whether you are visiting Moscow for the first time or returning here again, this city will always have something to surprise and inspire you. Subscribe to the channel, put likes, there will be a lot of interesting things to come.